also on YouTube. Gotta love this computer camera. It like shines, and my office is currently a mess as it is on Mondays. So I pull everything out to use it on Sundays. Oh, weird. This is gonna be tricky. It's gonna look a little funny. It's not gonna look like I'm looking at you all that much. Sorry about that. Good morning, Adam. Bellevue, Washington. All right. Yeah, sorry. I left my iPad at home by accident. Morning, Pat. And so I'm on my computer here. I'm on my phone here. YouTube. So you're just gonna have to go with it. Gonna have to go with it. Time we got 6:02. Trisha's on. Good morning. Good morning, Chris. Amanda. All right. We're gonna get going here in just a minute. Amber, good to see you. John, so good. Oh, we had more, then we have less. It's all good. It may look a little awkward. I may not look up at the up camera because that's just not my habit. So if that bugs you, go on YouTube, find me there. Yeah. YouTube is going to look a little bit more like it has. Facebook is going to look a little weird. We're losing people. All right. 6:03. I might wait for just a minute or two more. How's it look on here as far as like clarity? Is it pretty much the same as what it normally is on the Facebook crowd? All right, counting it down. All right, it's Monday. We've got a few of us getting started. Facebook got weird. That's what Becky says. Facebook got weird. I'm not sure. How did it get weird? Just the angle? It's probably the angle. Yeah, feel free. Look me up on YouTube. It's a little bit better. Blocks. You see blocks? The screen is pink and blurry. Oh, that's great. Man. You know what I may do? Because I don't want to have... man. Good morning, Chica. Came up clear again. Yeah. I don't think the computer's the best. It's clear now. It's good now. Good now. Good. Okay. So it looks like it's coming back together. That's good. I don't know what was up. The other option is I just don't do YouTube, and a lot of times it's not a big issue because we don't have a lot of people that jump on YouTube. But oh, weird. But I know today I've got more. I've got 5, which is more than I normally have on YouTube. 4, I lost one. See, if I just lose them all. All right, 6:05, enough quality control. Let's get started. We're gonna jump into Matthew chapter 9, verse 18. That's where we're gonna start this morning. Good morning, Mela. Matthew 9, verse 18, and we're going to work our way through this section, another good section. I think that there's some good stuff here, so here we go. Well, let's pray real fast. Lord, I'm again grateful for another morning where we can come and we can open your word together, that there's a handful of us that have gotten up and are ready to go. We just pray that you would bless our morning, that you would speak, that you would teach, that you would have your way. Lord, that you would show us how these things apply. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So, dun. Man, it's so different using the computer. That's going to bug me more than you probably. Here we go. Verse 18, chapter 9, book of Matthew. Here we go. While he was saying these things to them, what things was he saying? If you were with us on Monday, you know that he was talking about you're not going to be able to start a new thing in the old system. It's not going to work well. The new thing in the old system don't work well. He talked about wineskins. You don't put new wine in old wineskins. It will burst the old wineskins. You don't take a piece of unshrunk cloth to patch old jeans. You don't do those kind of things. If you want to talk about that, look at Saturday's video, the one that we did on Saturday. This whole idea of trying to start a new thing, a new work in the old system is a mess. It's going to be a wreck. It's not going to work well. So while he was saying these things, a ruler came and knelt before him. Ruler came and knelt before him, saying, "My daughter has just died. Come and lay your hands on her, and she will live." So we start off and we have this man. It says he's a ruler. In Luke's gospel, it tells us his name is Jairus. It also tells us that his daughter was 12 years old. And this man, he's a ruler. He has authority. He has resources. He likely has money. He has everything he needs, but he doesn't have everything he needs because his daughter is dying. And so he comes to Jesus and he's on his knees before Jesus and he's saying, "Come and heal her." He's heard the stories. He's heard Jesus has already spoken a word and healed one. He's touched a leper and healed the leper. He has healed Peter's mother-in-law. People were coming and bringing people to Jesus to heal them. And so he hears of Jesus' power to heal. There comes a point, no matter what your position, no matter how good things have gone for you in the past, no matter how high you've achieved, there comes a point where you will be desperate. There will come a point, I think, for all of us, where we will find ourselves desperate. We will find ourselves on our knees before Jesus saying, "Lord, unless you do it, it's not going to get done. Unless you heal, unless you step out, unless you reach out, unless you touch, nothing's going to change." And yet he comes with this faith and he kneels before Jesus and he says, "Will you come? My daughter has just died." In Luke's gospel, it tells us the details a little bit more. When he first approaches Jesus, Jairus, this ruler, he doesn't even know that his daughter has died. He knows that she's dying. But he comes to Jesus and he says, "I know if you will lay your hand on her, she will live." Verse 19, Jesus rose and followed him with his disciples. And behold, a woman who had suffered from a discharge of blood for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment. For she said to herself, "If I only touch his garment, I will be made well." So remember, this girl who's dying, she will actually die before Jesus arrives. This girl is 12 years old. At the same time, while he's heading to heal this girl, a woman comes who's been hemorrhaging from this flow of blood, this issue for 12 years as well. 12 years for both of them. Radically different situations. And they're coming at the same time asking for the same thing. They're asking for this touch, this miracle. But this woman, she's got this faith that says, if I could just reach out and if I could just touch the fringe of his garment, if I could just touch the hem of his garment. There is a significance to the hem of Jesus' garment or just the hem of a garment in this day. The garment would have been a symbol of authority. Jesus made reference about how the Pharisees like to enlarge the borders of their garment. The garment, it was kind of this, like, this, I'm important. I'm wearing clothing that says that I'm important. What I wore, what they wore was a symbol of their authority in society. And so this woman is coming and she's got this belief that if I could just touch the hem of his garment, there's power really in the hem of his garment. There's power in his authority. It seems to be a picture of that. There's power in the authority of Jesus. And so here what you have a ruler who found himself on his knees before Jesus, recognizing in all his authority, still Jesus was greater. He takes this position. He takes this position of humility before Jesus, recognizing, I mean, if you're on your knees before somebody, you are putting yourself under them. You are recognizing their authority. Here's this woman reaching out for the fringe of Jesus' garment, again, recognizing his power, recognizing his authority, knowing if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I can be made well. These people coming in desperation, coming to Jesus. Luke's gospel tells us as well that she has spent all of her money over these last 12 years. She spent all of her money just trying to be made well, but the doctors could do nothing. The doctors tried. They did everything that they knew how to do, but they just couldn't do anything. I think that what's crazy is we live in 2017. In 2017, medical advances have come. We can do so much for so many, but there are still things that they can try everything and never figure it out. Never know how to fix the problem. Never know completely. I mean, they're trying, they're learning, they're growing, but there's a limit to even what the doctors can do. And there comes a point where we will find ourselves before God. We will find ourselves before God and we will say, if you don't heal me, the doctors have done everything that they can do. And if you don't heal me, I will not be made well. But then still coming with that faith that he can heal. Still coming with that belief that if I can just touch Jesus. Now here's I think a key to this story is that she's reaching out to touch Jesus. That the goal is to touch Jesus. That the goal, I think that there's something about that. I think that there's something about if I could just get close to Jesus, if I could just touch Jesus, if I could just keep my eyes on Jesus. Sometimes one of the things that happens, and this is maybe all the time, the thing that happens is when we are going through a trial, when we are going through a sickness, when we are going through something, it could be with somebody that you care about, somebody that you love. It could be something in your health. It can be something in your financial world. It can be something with your job. It can be all of these things. One of the things that happens is we get consumed by the thing. We get consumed by the issue of blood. We get consumed by the sickness of the daughter, even the funeral that's about to take place of the daughter if things don't go right. We get consumed by the situation. Something happens. We get all of our focus, all of our energy, all of our sight goes to the issue. And what this woman does is she takes for a moment, she takes her eyes off of the pain that is being caused, the fact that in her society she would be an outcast. In her society, she wouldn't have been able to worship at the temple. She would have been considered unclean. But she takes her eyes off of all of the things that she's going through, and she puts her eyes on Jesus, and she says, if I could just touch Jesus, I could be made well. If I can just get to Jesus, I could be made well. If I could just put my sight in the right place. Do you know that even the gospel message is exactly this? You may have, I may have, we have these issues. Now, I don't want to get too far away from like physical sin and healing because that's in the story. But truly as well, we have within us, we have this broken part of us, this brokenness within us that hinders us. We have sin. We have, like, really, I did that again? Really, I've fallen short again? Am I ever going to get past this? Am I ever going to be better than this? Am I ever going to improve in this area? Am I ever going to grow? And we can get our eyes so caught up in that we never look to see Jesus. And we never set our eyes upon Jesus. And really, I feel that victory, when I see in Scripture, victory is truly setting our eyes on Jesus. The gospel message truly is just saying, Jesus covered the price for my sin. Jesus paid for my sin. Jesus is enough. All I have to do is look to the cross and I'll be made well. All I have to do is look to the work that he's able to do and I'll be made well. And so we press in. We press in. We reach out. We say, if I do nothing else, I'm going to touch him. And as she reached out and she touched the hem of his garment, the border of his garment, Jesus says, Jesus turned and seeing her, he said, take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well. This is good. Your faith has made you well. There's There's a couple of things that have happened in this story. One, as she's touched him, what he didn't say is he didn't say, my garment made you well. So here she's reaching out. Bad theology. I think bad theology. If I could just touch his clothing, I'll be made well. So she's reaching out. This isn't good. This is not a good understanding. It's kind of superstitious a little bit. If I could just touch Jesus' clothing, then I'll be made well. But Jesus turns to her and he doesn't say, my clothing made you well. He says, your faith has made you well. She set her eyes on Jesus. She reached out. She touched him. She believed that she could be made well. And as she touched him, she was made well. Jesus will lift up the belief, the faith. Matter of fact, it's about this point that Jairus gets word that his daughter has died. So she was sick and that she has died. And Jesus will turn to him and he says, believe, continue to believe. He encourages his faith. Always keeping that faith that Jesus can do it, that Jesus can heal, that he can move us past. He can get us past whatever the trial, whatever the battle, whatever we're going through in the moment. He can get us past it. He can heal us. So we're pressing in. And instantly the woman was made well. And then verse 23. And when Jesus came to the ruler's house, he saw the flute players and the crowd making a commotion. So in their day, it seemed they had professional mourners. That's everything that I've heard and read about these guys. They had these professional mourners. When somebody had died, they wanted to make sure that the setting was correct, was right, and so they would bring in musicians and they would bring in people who cried professionally and cried well. Seems kind of silly, I know, but they brought them in, somebody to sing a sad song, somebody to really, I don't know, just to set the mood. And Jesus comes in and he sees all the commotion. In verse 24, he says, "Go away, for this girl is not dead, but she's sleeping." So as the beginnings of the funeral have already begun, Jesus says, "Now get out of here." Puts him out. "Go away, for the girl is not dead, but sleeping." And it says, and they laughed at him. That's going to be, as we walk in any kind of faith, Jesus had this, he knew what was going to happen as we walk in any kind of faith, and we say things that, hey, this is the situation. What you think is the situation is not the situation. Jesus knows the situation more than we know the situation. And so he looks at it and he says, no, this is not going to turn out the way you think it's going to turn out. You're going to have mockers along the way. You're going to have, I've known those who God speaks to them in their trials and their times of sickness, and they walk in faith and they say, you know what, God's going to heal me. God's going to heal me. And there's always mockers. There's always somebody who's going to laugh at them because they're just setting their sights on Jesus. Jesus is going to heal me. Jesus is going to continue in my situation. Jesus is going to fix this. And having that faith will bring about mockers, people who will say, no, you got to get real. You got to get real. You got to look at the situation for what it is. You got to plan for the worst. But Jesus puts them out. He puts out the mockers. Puts them outside. Verse 24, we're continuing on. They laughed at him. Verse 25, but when the crowd had been put outside, he went and took her by the hand, and the girl arose, and the report of this went through all the district. So Jesus lifts her up, heals her, truly raises her from the dead, showing he has even power not only over sickness but over death, and he raises her up. And people begin to talk about it. People begin to spread the word about it. I wonder, as I think through these things, I wonder, how do these things really relate to us? We're in different places, all of us. There's almost 20 of us that are on here right now. We're all in different places. How does it relate to us? Some of us, physically, we're going through stuff. Physically, I've had a couple of emails from a couple of you guys. Physically, we're going through stuff, and we need Jesus to touch us. We need Jesus to heal us. And is it going to happen? Is he going to? Physically, he's not there. We can't press in on the crowd and reach out and touch him like they did. And so it's got to be something else. And so, Lord, are you going to heal me? Here's one of the things that I've wrestled with, and I'm just going to be real. I don't have all the answers to these questions. Is he going to heal us? I will throw some thoughts out, but some of the things, as I'm just kind of getting older, you start seeing yourself fall apart a little bit. There's a little bit of that. You're just like, well, is he ever going to make me 21 again? Probably not. He's probably not going to, maybe for some of us, maybe we're going to find ourselves moving in a healthier direction in radical ways. But really, truly, we're still going to continue. We're in this decaying body, this flesh that's just not, it's not moving forward, it's moving backwards. It seemed like it was moving forward for a long time, but then it shifted, and now it's just like I go and play basketball with a bunch of guys that are half my age, and man, I can't get around quite like I used to get around. And so sickness will come. Things are going to take us down for sure. But does that mean that Jesus isn't going to step in and Jesus isn't going to move and heal? There are things that I feel that I suffered from, even a year ago that are no longer an issue for me. And I thank God for that. And the means that God will do that will sometimes be medicine, will sometimes be doctors, will sometimes be just nutrition. It'll sometimes be things like exercise. There's things that God will use. God made all the laws of nature. He does all those things. But sometimes we realize that we've come to the end of those things. We've come to the end of those things. And so all that we have left is, God, if you don't touch me, if you don't heal me, then this is as good as it's ever going to get. I'm just on this downhill road. I'm just on a slippery slope unto decay. And some of us, maybe we're thinking, man, I'm too young to be where I'm at. I know people who are younger than me who have much more health than I do. And that's sometimes going to be the case. But sometimes it's just, but at the same time, we press into Jesus. And here's what I think is for us. I think for us is we just need to say, I'm going to touch Jesus. I'm going to sit with Jesus. I'm going to take this season, however long it is, even with the pain that I'm in, even with the suffering that I'm in, I'm just going to reach out and I'm going to keep my eyes on Jesus. I'm going to keep touching Jesus, and I'm going to take whatever he gives me, and I'm going to worship him, and I'm going to glorify him, and I'm going to seek him. And I want to experience him as much as I possibly can. I remember when I went to Russia, there was a guy, he was leading the Russia ministry. This was, 15 years ago, I think, somewhere around there. Maybe not that long. But I went to Russia with him, and he was heading up the mission trip that I was on to Russia. And he basically led this ministry that he would go several times a year, multiple times, taking groups from churches all over the United States to do ministry in Russia. And he had done this for years and years up to the point that I went. And he had said that in the 70s, he was given a diagnosis by the doctors that he had just a couple of years to live. I can't remember what sickness he had, but they said, you're basically going to die within the next, something like 3 to 5 years, you're going to die. And so here he was, years later, 30 years later, and he was still doing this ministry that he was called to. And what he had said was, you know what, if I have 3 to 5 years, I'm going to use that 3 to 5 years to draw near to Jesus. I'm going to use that 3 to 5 years to preach the gospel, to share with the world around me, to minister, and to press into Jesus. That became his 3 to 5 years. And his 3 to 5 years, he's like, man, I don't know what's going to happen, but here he was 30 years later still doing it. Because doctors, it's kind of like telling a joke on here is a bad idea because I get no response from you, but it's kind of like the old joke about the doctor who gives somebody 2 years to live, and then the person's like, oh man, I wanted to go on a vacation in 5 years, and the doctor's, all right, okay, I'll give you 5 years to live. It's a doctor's diagnosis as far as lifespan doesn't mean much. Jesus is the one if he was the one to tell you have 5 years to live, you got 5 years to live. A doctor is just kind of guessing based on what they've seen in the past. And so we're not, a doctor can't really give us a death sentence. What we are doing then is just we're going into Jesus. We're pressing into Jesus. And we're saying, you know what? I don't know how much time I have. I mean, we could be incredibly healthy and still only have a couple days left and we wouldn't even know it. And so what we're doing in this time of need, all of us are in this time of need, and we're in this, maybe in this moment of desperation, whether we know it or not, and we're pressing in and we're saying, I'm going to come to Jesus with everything. I'm going to find myself on my knees before him. Like Jairus the ruler, I'm going to go to my knees before him, and I'm going to be making petitions for my kids, just like Jairus. Whether we know the extremity of like, hey, they're near death or not, we need to be those like the ruler. We shouldn't wait until there's this sickness unto death, but truly we're on those who are on our knees before Jesus for our kids. That's one of the things. But then one of the other things is when we're in this place of even our health and those things, we're just saying, you know what? The solution to all of that is just simply if I can reach out and touch him. And so I'm going to spend my life reaching out for Jesus. I'm going to spend my life reaching out to touch him. And when my time has come, my time has come, and it will not come before that, because he holds that authority. And he can heal things that I don't even know are going on. You know, some of us, some of you who join with me in the mornings, some of us are sick, like physically sick, and we know it. And we've had doctors tell us, like, hey, we're trying everything and we've got all these treatments and things. But here's what's wild to think about, right? Some of us, maybe, I don't know. I mean, there's 20 people here. I don't know if it's true or not, but some of us may be sick and we don't even know that we're sick. And I'm speaking physically. Like there is a point where there's things going on in our bodies that we don't know are going on. So there may be a sickness that we don't even know is there. It's no different. It's still the need to just reach out. I'm just going to reach out and I'm going to just try to touch Jesus. I'm going to live my life trying to touch Jesus. I'm going to walk not focused on the sickness, not focused on being consumed, but just focus on, you know what, he can heal me. And I'm not encouraging you to be stupid and not talk to a doctor and not seek out those whatever help God brings that is available to us. I would encourage you to go that route for sure. But what this story has shown us, there comes this point. Sorry, there's a pop-up on my phone. There is this need. There comes this point in all of our lives where we will be desperate for Jesus to heal. That we will be desperate for Jesus to do a work in our lives. And so I encourage you guys, press into him, press into Jesus, seek him out. Make your life, however much time you've got, no matter what the massive thing that you may be going through is, press in him, seek him, pray to him, find yourself on your knees before him, reach out for the hem of his garment, the authority that is represented there. Spend time in his word, spend time in fellowship with people. Walk in also, listen, this is the thing, probably the big underlying thing in this story. Walk in faith. Walk in faith. Walk in strength that he can do anything. Walk in, hey, if he's given you a day, just hey, I feel good today. And I've been going through it for the last year, couple years, but I'm doing good today. Walk in faith in that, hey, he gave you that day. He healed you for that day. Live as he's called you to live in that day. Be what he's called you to be in that day. So thank you guys so much. Look at it, 6:30. I think we probably got a lot out of there. Robin said this is one of her favorite stories. That puts a lot of pressure on me, Robin. When this is one of your favorite stories, I'm like, oh no, what does Robin want to hear? So hopefully we got something out of it. I'm going to be here tomorrow, again, 6 to 6:30 in the morning. So come back with me. Thanksgiving's coming. I'm not sure which days we'll be off and which days we'll be on, but I hope to be with you guys most of this week. So keep jumping in. Tell anybody you know that might want to jump in with us in the mornings. And I see some people that haven't been on here for a bit or forever. So thank you guys. I'll try to bring my iPad and have a better Facebook feed tomorrow. So thank you guys. I'm going to shut this down. coming. Oh, that's so funny. Hold on. You guys still there? The YouTube crowd. Here, I'll show you my setup. Check it out. That was the computer. All right. That's so good, Pat. That's so good. I love it. You know, sometimes I feel like what am I talking about? Like, who's this relating to? So it's always good to hear that God's speaking specifically to people. Got to shut that off. So I'll see you guys later. Man, hold on. Let me see if I can. Before I shut this down, actually, I want to make sure I've got all the comments, because I know some of you guys left comments on here too, and I could not read them. So here we go. Dun dun dun. I'm gonna read you guys' comments before I leave, because when we do Facebook or YouTube Live, it cuts it off. Oh, good. Becky, awesome. All right. Good to see you guys. We'll see you tomorrow, 6 o'clock. See ya.